Welcome back to the show, everybody. We got a great one lined up for you today. You know, we've been looking at a lot of negative, impactful news, what it seems to be coming every day from the SEC. And unfortunately, we got a little more. But you know what? We get some upside today. U.S. Treasury bullish on crypto. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
This is Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Subscribe for new content notifications. Now, here's Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. You can follow me on Twitter at BackupBradleyAbove and everything we're talking about here today. We'll get to this in just one second. Right now, let's look at the numbers because we're $2.699 trillion market cap for crypto. Bitcoin sitting just over 60,000, well, almost $61,000 at 60,900 plus. Ethereum at $4,400 plus. It was $4,500 this morning. And we see Solana at 236 plus right now. And we see Cardano at 199, sitting just under $2 from this morning. And XRP at 116, holding its own, but it is off by 2.5%. Let's look at the actual range of price. Right now, we're ranging on the low side of XRP at 114.16 and at the high side of 120.29. Hey, now, you know, things are looking up. I tell you, these technical analysts, if you haven't seen the video from this morning, please go watch that. They're still calling. Technical analysts are not budging. $10 to $20 plus XRP is on the charts. They can see it. They read the tea leaves. They use all the charting tools. Whether we go up or we go down, that's the ultimate goal in the near term is what they tell us, not financial advice. Let's get started with the news. This is Gary Gensler right here. Calls for DeFi projects to step back in case of unclarity regarding being a security or not. Where is the line, Mr. Gensler? Maybe you are the only one seeing that visionary line. I tell you, you know, this really does speak to the problem here. It really, really does. And now a call to really suggest that the industry itself take a pause, that investors, people who've raised capital, are supposed to put this stuff to work. I mean, you know, how about Gary Gensler lead from the front? Why don't we try that, right? Instead of being this backseat driver, why don't you just lead from the front? I'll tell you what else would be a beautiful thing too, Gary, is why don't you actually say out of your mouth that Ethereum is or is not a security? Why don't you do that? I'd like to hear that. I'd like to hear you speak to that unique unfair advantage that Ethereum has been given because they claim that they filed as a product or a good in Switzerland, but they certainly touched the American investor. And if you don't believe me, ask Mike Novogratz. He has made tons of money as an American off of that Swiss filed product and made it while investing. I tell you, in the fundraise, you know, there's a lot wrong there, but you know what? Let's get on with the good news. Ripple is back on the board today, ladies and gentlemen. The numbers are brought to you by Link2.com, private investing made simple. And I tell you something, you know, when I think about SEC and Gary Gensler, not only is it DeFi, it's the entire space that is really interrupted here. And for more than a year, or at least all going on a year now, we've been sued. Ripple and XRP have been sued by the SEC. And you know what? It really deserves the clarity, and it's not that hard for him to do. But what I'll say is that I look at this as an investor, as a shareholder of Ripple stock, this is an opportunity for me. And again, not financial advice, but my personal perspective on this matter is that the case, I believe, is going to end. We know Jeremy Hogan has told us, the Hogan legal team has told us, shout out to them, that at some point this ends. And whether it's the first part of next year or it goes all the way into late spring next year, you know, it doesn't matter to me. I know that it's going to end, and I do believe it will be resolved. And when it is, I believe XRP will be the most compliant, vetted digital asset on planet Earth. And I think that will be good for XRP, just as I believe having a resolution in this case will be great for Ripple, the blockchain infrastructure company, right? And in thinking and understanding that way for myself, again, not financial advice, I see the opportunity here because the the growth of Ripple and the growth of XRP have been completely suppressed. And by the way, shout out to Blockchain Backer, who made a lights out amazing video showing the suppression that has happened to all of us as Ripple and XRP holders alike. And I tell you, you should go watch that video, and shout out to you, Blockchain Backer. Just remarkable work, my friend. But let's get into this, because this sets the tone for what I believe could be a baton handoff in what's coming here. In a statement released on Wednesday, the Fed said we'll begin to reduce asset purchases by $15 billion a month, starting this month until the program ends in the middle of 2022, which all really suggests to me, and I'm a backyard economist here, so I don't have any degrees hanging on the wall, but I tell you, this really certainly I believe is a signal that they're about to unravel this mess and let it fall to the floor, right? So if that is the case, and if that is correct, that we're going to see more weight fall onto the economy here, because it's not being propped up as much, then I also believe what a wonderful time to introduce a brand new emerging asset class to be able to handle some of this bleed off and what eventually I believe will show up as a huge correction in the traditional markets. Looking right here, Congressman Tom Emmer and Darren Soto sent a bipartisan letter to Securities Exchange Commission Gary Gensler on Wednesday, strongly questioning why the agency has denied approval for the creation of a Bitcoin spot ETF. Now, we know we've seen a futures ETF for Bitcoin, right? But the spot ETF, and I believe I understand why this hasn't happened. And forgive me, but I almost see Gary Gensler's point of view here a little bit. He wants to regulate the exchanges, just like NASDAQ and the New York Stock Exchange are regulated. I don't have a problem with that. The only problem I have is that if Gary Gensler goes so far to want to say that 100% of what's on those exchanges becomes securities because now I am regulating the exchanges, that's where I really have okay, we need a line in the sand here. Now, with that being said, if you regulate the exchanges, you can make sure that everybody's playing the way they're supposed to and they're compliant. And that means you're not going to experience front running and things of that nature, which could or could not be going on right now. I don't know. But I get that sense. So the point being, he has said this in the past, if you release an ETF, like a spot ETF, and I'm paraphrasing, but this is what he's leaned into before, you're talking about getting a spot price that you don't actually know is a true spot price, because the exchanges themselves that are reporting all of this price action and sales and buys and all of this aren't truly regulated and compliant. So he wants to see that happen first before approving a Bitcoin spot ETF. I believe we'll keep an eye on it. However, there's more pressure around the world here. Over 140 million people have digital Yuan accounts, says the People's Bank of China. How about that one? More pressure from around the world that says we are not waiting. And it is obvious they are not waiting. Now let's take a look at this, because this is even more to the narrative that the world is loosely working in some fashion together towards an ultimate end goal. Whether it's digital Yuan out here looking to lead the pack at this point, or whether you see the coordinated effort here in this. This is Chancellor Rishi Sunak addresses delegates at the COP26 summit, pledging to make the UK the world's first net zero finance center. Now, we know that the narrative has been for the financial sector that they use climate change and these climate goals to be net neutral by a certain point, whether it's 2030 or 2050 or whatever they set their goal at here. And you can see clearly, I'm not going to play this for you, but I just wanted to show you, look at what it is. Financial system that supports our climate goals. This has been the narrative and the excuse to really move the financial system collectively as a whole to blockchain, to the use of crypto that works, like I ultimately believe XRP will be used. So, and again, my speculation, but then that brings us to this. This is forward motion right here. And this is Hassan Al-Ananzi, who says, when I see a picture and others, it says, I know that there are men who work day and night to bring modern technology to keep pace with the developments in Saudi Arabia, and it shows XRP and XRP holders here. Now, older picture, newer picture, it really doesn't matter. We know Brad Garlinghouse was just there about a week ago or so, and we know that there are massive strides taking place there, implementation of Ripple and RippleNet, and ultimately the use of XRP. So this is where I say, hey, you know what? Come on in, Saudi Arabia. Let's show the U.S. the real positive power of Ripple and XRP can have on cross-border payments for the world. U.S. Congress needs to pass legislation to lead the fourth industrial revolution, as well as to clear up the boundaries for the SEC and the CFTC, right? Clear up the boundaries here, but we're about to get some clarity here. Acting U.S. Comptroller says both the OCC Crypto Review and Interagency Crypto Sprint have concluded. And we know that Omarova, who is now the acting chair of the U.S. OCC, has been very vocal about the fact that she believes they're going to play a huge significant role. And we know from the president's working group that they have spoken to stablecoins and basically have said you're going to need to become a federally chartered bank that has FDIC insurance, right? So with that being said, what does that really mean? That means that the height bar for becoming a stablecoin project just got very, very intensive and expensive, okay? And that basically means that they've raised the regulatory height bar, which shuts a lot of people out. Now, does this challenge innovation? In some respects, that answer is yes. But in other respects, it also says if they do it right and they force a one-to-one or a one-to-surplus backing, a physical backing, then we're going to have a very, very solid foundation for this new stablecoin compliance framework. We'll see how it unfolds. But there's more, because the U.S. Treasury says they are bullish on crypto. And man, are we going to see this guy become a superstar for crypto here. Deputy Secretary for the United States Treasury, Wally Adeyemo, and he is going to talk here from the Chainalysis Conference, and listen to what he says in this that I put out. It's already got almost 10,000 views just from this morning. Take a listen here what he says. Check it out.
Because my sense is that there may be a misconception about the relationship between the blockchain industry and the government on this issue. There's a belief, to be frank, that we're at odds. The Treasury conceives as ransomware as a problem with cryptocurrency, and that in order to stop the former, we must severely restrict what happens in this industry. But this is not how we see things. We cannot stress that enough. It is not how we see them at all. Let me explain. The first story is a story of 1 in every 9 people on Earth who are supported by a loved one, often working abroad and sending money back home. Some 250 million plus migrants around the world send an average of $200 to $300 to their families each month. Today, they pay a high price for the privilege. Of that $300 monthly payment to their family, they can expect to lose on average $21, 70%, to those operating the payment systems that get their money from point A to point B. Even for people or companies transacting within wealthy nations, the cost of cross-border payments, while lower than at any point in history, remain high. A payment among G7 nations still incurs about a 2% transaction fee. That presents a challenge because history tells us that when that fee goes down, the pace and volume of commerce will increase. I know many of you entered the world of blockchain technology to solve problems like this one. You see cryptocurrency and related fintech innovation as a way to make the global economy easier to navigate for everyone. And I want to let you know, we share that aspiration. Our Treasury Department is enthusiastic about financial innovation when pursued responsibly and with an eye towards broad opportunity rather than just financial engineering. We hope that technology will help reduce the cost people pay to transact across borders, for example.
I don't think it gets any better than that. I mean, you got the Deputy Secretary for the U.S. Treasury telling we are bullish on crypto, right? Especially for the use case of inclusiveness and bringing the cost of cross-border payments down. Well, immediately it takes me back to exactly what it reminds here of BondCrypt, which is the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, who said the same thing back in, June or July? It was June of 2020 here. The remittance transfer under the Electronic Fund Transfer Act. Now we're starting to see some consistency here, folks. Ladies and gentlemen, I tell you, it always feels like these things take a long time to come around, but the Treasury is lined up now with the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Did they say Ripple? No. Did they say XRP? No. But I'll tell you what, back in June, just like BondCrypt showed us, that's exactly what they said here, right? The continued growth and expanded functionality of society's worldwide interbank financial telecommunications, which is SWIFT, global payment innovation, tracking product, which can increase the amount of upfront information available to sending institutions, the expansion of major payment card networks, capacity cross-border payments. It says here, continued growth of fintech non-bank remittance transfer providers and their future expansion into partnerships and other relationships with banks. It goes on to say here, banks and credit unions, which allow such entities to tap into closed network payment systems and non-bank remittance transfer providers have developed, and continued growth in expanding partnerships of virtual currency companies such as Ripple, which offer both payments messaging platform to support cross-border money transfers, as well as proprietary virtual currency XRP, which can be used to effect settlement of those transfers. Now, I don't know about you, but I tell you, it is extremely bullish to hear Wally Adeyemo tell me that he is clearing the air. It is not that we don't like crypto. It's not that we don't like blockchain. We just want the ones that can help solve this inclusiveness and bring the cost of cross-border payments down. What has been the goal from day one with Ripple, the company, for the use of the XRP ledger and the native token XRP to complement the suite of software products that they offer banks to solve the cross-border payments issue? I believe we are getting even closer now, and it's my speculation, so it's not financial advice, but I certainly believe that this is the path to where we need to go. And I also believe that as much as it's a legal case with the Ripple and SEC, it's also a vetting process. And when this process is over, again, XRP will be the most compliant vetted digital asset on planet Earth. And maybe, just maybe, the U.S. Treasury understands that too. That's going to do it for me. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe, leave a comment below, and share with somebody you know. Ladies and gentlemen, check out all the links in the description and comment box. They are great products and services I use each and every day, and they are trusted, vetted links. More importantly, there's some great specials in those links, but you gotta click the links. I'll catch all of you on the next one.